Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Kalicube Tuesdays. Today it's with Alexandra Tachalova. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, very well, actually.
Oh, thank you very much. A quick hello, and we're good to go. Welcome to the show, Alexandra Tachalova.
Oh, thank you very much, Jason. It's so nice to be here, and actually, I'm so happy to see you today.
Thank you.
So we've been really, the last time I saw it was like quite some time ago, right? So
Yeah.
it's really, kind of nice to reconnect with you as well.
It's delightful. I really love chatting with you, and I did the Digital Olympus. I was going to call it a festival, but it's a conference a couple of years ago, which was absolutely brilliant. And anybody who's watching this, go to the Digital Olympus conferences, online or offline. They're absolutely brilliant. Talking of which, the first thing we have is your brand SERP for Digital Olympus, and I've been tracking you and watching this. And the problem is, Olympus cameras. Digital
Yes.
Olympus cameras have dominated for years and years and years. And if we look at that brand SERP, Anton, you've now absolutely taken over. It wasn't like that a couple of years ago. Yeah, finally. This is a great brand SERP. With the green stuff is all you, and the red stuff is Digital Olympus or Olympus cameras that are digital. And that's a huge achievement with something this ambiguous. And I've got my little brand message foghorn there. Pointing out that you've got your brand message coming across incredibly clearly. And I've put some arrows in. Number one is that the digital marketing conference is seen to be important. So you get the rich site link with an image, which is beautiful. And then if you look down in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see all the related searches, including yourself, and also Digital Marketing Europe, which is another conference. So Google's joining the dots between Digital Olympus, the company, the conference, and also, apparently, you've got careers at your company. Google sees and understands that people are looking to work for you, which is absolutely wonderful. And then if we go to the next one, if you click on your name, you get that, which is a beautiful knowledge panel.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's from Entrepreneur, I think. Oh, it's now from HubSpot, because it's always changing. It used to be from another, from another blog post, but right now it's from HubSpot, which is interesting. It's always changing.
Yeah, I've been talking about this a lot to various clients, but also people I work with. What happens is, for the first year, Google will tend to rotate the description it chooses. It will try to find the one that represents what it understands most about you. And it's doing A/B testing, basically. And what then happens, it will stabilize.
Oh, okay.
And if you create a website for yourself, you can potentially get the description to come from your own website, which is the ultimate aim, so you actually control it day in, day out.
Well, actually, I started claiming this, this knowledge basically panel, right? Because it's not yet controlled by me, but I stopped somewhere, so I have to be back to this, because whenever I start controlling it, I can actually tell what I want to see there, right?
Yeah, you can't ask them to change the description source, but what you can do is, if you click on I actually tried to claim it for you. I didn't try to claim it. I went through to claim it.
That was I was trying to do, but I just basically started filling in it and just basically decided to move to something else, and then absolutely forgot. And you reminded me actually about this.
Well, the thing is, it's a horrifically long form, and it's difficult to fill in, and the person at Google will look at it and make a snap decision. The best thing to do is to create the entity home on your own website, then you claim it through Search Console.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
got it.
Yeah, so if you create the entity home, you get your description, it gets the entity home in the knowledge panel, and you can claim it through Search Console, and you don't have to go through the Google employees.
Ah, perfect. Okay, thank you very much for the tip.
And it's incredibly important for you, I think, to get the right description from your own website. But that's not the topic for today. The topic for today is link building. Oh, and before we get onto that, let's just have the quick sponsors. You kindly sponsored the podcast a few months ago. Absolutely delightful. Right now, as always, produced in partnership with the wonderful team at WordLift in Rome, Italy, who have the artificial intelligence you need to grow your traffic. And from our perspective at Kalicube, we're really pushing the idea that you can get your own knowledge panel, and we have a done-for-you service. We can get that knowledge panel for you in a few months, and that team is led by the wonderful Elisa. She has a whole Kalicube Pro team behind her who work and help her with that. And I'm super, super pleased with the work we've been doing for the clients we've got. Wonderful. On to links. Now, I was wondering, first of all, you're saying links are the foundation of your website or your site. Why should I build links is my huge question, which is totally open-ended.
Well, I have to say that you don't really need necessarily to build them. You might be, just, so lucky enough to produce the right type of content, which is actually quite hard to do because you never know, right, what kind of content is going to turn into a really linkable asset. Because, even though there are some types of content, right, that theoretically, technically should be and consider it as, right, linkable assets, not necessarily all of them, turning into that type of content in terms of links and so on. But as for me, right, some websites, right, they have more linkable angles, right? So for instance, Services Cloud Solutions, they naturally, organically get a flow of links, because if you compare Services Cloud Solutions with the service businesses, right, like agencies, they have way more chances to get links organically. So sometimes, right, some businesses, they might not need such a big need, to build links, just to tell Google that we are doing this, you can associate us with that type of, business and so on, to create a solid footprint. So I would say that is the starting point.
Oh, right. And we have a screenshot from Anton to show 2.3K backlinks for Kalicube Tuesdays, which is pretty good going. And that's the point. You were talking about assets rather than web pages or articles. It's also images and videos and pages with interviews like this. And 2.3K backlinks to Kalicube Tuesdays is pretty good going, but that's also because the guests link back to their episodes. So we've created linkable assets.
It's because of relationships, right? So instead of investing into building links, you're investing in building relationships, which in a traditional marketing was the way of getting recommendations. And in reality, links, you can consider them as recommendations, right? Whenever a website that has some authority and that is relevant to your niche, giving you a do follow link, it's kind of recommendation, right? Yeah. And in the real world, right, you can get those recommendations by getting together with the right people, building with them meaningful relationships, and eventually receiving those recommendations. So that is very easy.
Yeah, and building those relationships is a huge job. I mean, at Kalicube, we've got 3 or 4 people working on that aspect of things, not full time. And it's a huge, what's the word? It takes a huge amount of time and resources.
Investment.
Investment, thank you very much. And also being true to yourself. What we found is that the more we're true to ourselves, the better we tend to perform. Is that generally true?
You mean in terms of the number of links and, what is the correlation in terms of the number of links and overall visibility of a website in Google, or?
Oh, that's 2 different questions. You can start with that one, then we can come back to my question. So you've asked your own question to yourself, which is lovely.
Okay. Can you please repeat then your question? Sorry, maybe I lost something.
Oh, right. It was basically in building relationships. It's building relationships with people who are meaningful to us. With an approach that's very much our own personality. So basically, Maria contacts people who've been on the show and talks to them about the links in her very personal voice, and it works incredibly well.
Yeah, for sure. That is, the right way of, building links, right? Also a way of, but one more time, right? You have to be very, very careful, right, here, because if you're going to approach people and asking for links too early, right, then most probably it's not going to happen. So you firstly need to bring some value, and then you can only expect to get a link back, which is going to happen more or less organically, I think, because people, if they are going to, to value relationship with you, then they're going to, to consider you whenever they're writing new content, right? I can't, the problem actually with links is also I can't really link back to something that I don't really know. right?
Right.
So there might be tons of very good content, very decent ones, well delivered, in depth, but I just don't really know about this content. And that is the main problem nowadays of more or less getting links.
Right. And so kind of my question then is that if I'm asking you to give me a link, to invest your time to understand my content, which is basically asking you to waste an hour or half an hour reading whatever I've got or watching the episode to see if it actually corresponds. So I'm not only asking you for a relational favor, but also investing your time, and your time is precious.
Yeah, for sure. Whenever you get a request to link back to something that you don't really know, right? You kind of, also people are lazy. You have to take this into consideration. No one really wants, right, to invest their time, their hours into really understanding what's written there. So they kind of use some kind of highlights, I would say, right? So very well, they try to categorize everything, right? So having some things that help them understand this is that, right? And if they, for instance, they receive a pitch from a brand that they don't really know, right? Never heard about from their niche. Then they Google something about this brand, not really seeing anything decent that really captured their attention. Then most probably they say no.
Ooh.
Right?
Which makes me think, sorry to interrupt, but that means your brand SERP is incredibly important, because they Google your brand name, and if your brand SERP looks impressive, they dig deeper, they give you the link. So your brand SERP is actually a link magnet.
Yeah, it's kind of your face.
Oh, yeah, depending on
the face of your brand. Yeah. So kind of, basically you have to put the right makeup there to make it, look very visually appealing.
Oh, that's brilliant. So brand SERPs become even more important than they were 10 minutes ago. I hadn't really thought of the fact that, I always say your prospects, your clients, investors, potential hires. Now I can say companies about to give you a link, and that can be make or break for getting a link.
Yeah, that is, always what I do. I start, even like, what I do with our potential clients, right? When I receive an inquiry from any company, where I start my journey, right? I start looking what kind of footprint they have, just because I try to understand whether we are the right match to each other, right? Whether we can, work together.
Right, and that comes a lot to topicality.
Yeah.
You really focus on topicality. If somebody's or a company is within your topical sphere, it makes sense to you, and if they're not, it doesn't. How do you feel about the new fashion in SEO to put outbound links? Because it used to be you don't put outbound links because you want to keep your link juice, and now it's you need to do the outbound links to prove that you know what you're talking about. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it used to be quite stupid when it comes to not linking to other resources, because it's preventing Google from basically crawling, the Google crawlers from moving forward. Basically, and in some way it might kind of backfire you, because you doesn't allow Google crawler to basically crawl the next websites, right? Continue the crawler's journey. So, and also, I don't really think, right, that you're really losing some sites, value, right, by giving links to the pages that you are confident of, right, that are making sense, because you, besides, having, links that are pointing out to your website, the right ones, quality ones, that should be the same, because there are two things that you have to keep in mind. Besides having the right referring domains, you also have the right outgoing links, just because it's kind of your neighborhood, right? So those brands, right, recommend me, and I recommend basically, the other brands. And I don't really think anyone is losing, any link juice.
Right. And that thing about reciprocal links, which is traditionally seen as a bad thing because Google gets upset, is that a thing or not?
That is tricky. Well, in the real world, right? If I have relationship with someone else, the genuine one, right? Non-financially support it in some way. So we kind of, like each other and support each other. Like, for instance, I have a business partner, right? And we kind of, supporting each other, but we don't really pay each other commissions or something like that. And it's quite natural that I recommend them and they recommend me. And that is reciprocal, right?
Yeah.
But we don't do recommendations at the same time because it's not possible, right? But when it comes to reciprocal links, the main problem with them that they're happening at the same time. Because you're kind of establishing a deal, right? Saying like, you give me a link and I want a link back. And no one wanted to be fooled, right? In this situation.
Everyone's suspicious.
Right?
Yep.
For sure, because you don't really know this person, right? Because if we imagine the situation when you know each other, then links won't happen at the same time, right? You are not going to push anyone and put under, any kind of requirements like, I put my link today and you have to put your link today as well, right? So that won't be that type of relationship. But whenever you establish a deal with a person you don't really know well and so on, you want it to happen. You want to close this deal in that way. And when you have a few links, right, that are basically derived in that way, there is no issue, behind this.
Okay.
But when you want to scale this, that is the problem, right? We are talking about 20 links per month delivered in that way. And all the links, reciprocal, they're appearing at the same time on both websites. And Google see this, right? The Claro sees this, like, that is not good. That is a pattern.
Right. And the one thing that an algorithm can spot is a pattern. And I think kind of people who think that they can outsmart it by creating chaos. Human beings are chaotic. The internet is completely chaotic. Any pattern on the web, the Google bots and the Google algorithms will spot it because it's not chaotic. And we can't create chaos on purpose, which is a delightful concept. And from that perspective, for you doing it at scale because you're an agency is a huge problem.
You mean like creating links on a scale on a general note, or creating some particular types of links?
I kind of just thought if you've got all these different clients, you need loads, thousands of relationships to be able to then come back and say, well, here's an opportunity. And so you're then, if I understand correctly, presenting it as an opportunity to the linker when you have a linkee who's interested. Does that make sense?
Yeah. We will actually just, throughout the last, almost 5 years, we've been able to establish relationships with more than 700 websites. So we know editor there. But we have over 20 link builders, right, that are working on this. So basically we do a lot of outreach, right? And that is how we operate. So basically we deliver a link that you can't really buy because websites where we acquire links, they are not interested in selling things. They have their services or products, so they operate in a different way.
Right. So sorry, just occurred to me, your link, the people you say are link builders are in fact link relationship managers.
Well, yeah, but it's way easier to say link builders because whenever I say link relationship builders, what are that, right? What are that? Creating some love.
I make the terrible mistake of inventing new sentences, phrases, and words, and then people don't understand what I'm talking about. And the Kalicube team are currently trying to coach me back to talking about things in terms that people understand. We have a system at Kalicube, this is on a very small level, obviously, of what we call Friends of Kalicube. And Digital Olympus are part of that. And basically everyone in Kalicube is aware of the list of people and companies with whom we are mutually supportive, reciprocal relationship. And so the idea is that then you get included in different pieces of content with or without a link, different social media. From an individual company perspective, that's a good approach. It seems to be working. Yeah,
for sure. It's just, basically creating some meaningful content, right? Using social media channels, right? Social media platforms to promote it. That is one of most probably the easiest way to increase the chances of getting links back to this content, which is not necessarily what might happen, right? So there is no guarantee that it's going to happen, But for sure, the more people know, one more time, there is a simple formula, right? The more people are aware of your content, right? The more chances, you're increasing the chances. It's more about possibilities, right? And that is the reason why well-known brands, right? They receive a lot of links organically, just because that is just about chances formula, right? So the smaller the brand is, the limited, the very limited chances, right, this brand has in order to acquire truly meaningful links, right? The one that will be coming from website that have already established some presence, right? The one that are going to send topical and some SEO benefits at the same time.
Right, yeah, and that's kind of being top of mind. A big company is going to be top of mind. A small company like Kalicube is less likely to be top of mind for something generalist like SEO, but much more for brand SERPs and knowledge panels. Is niching down a really good way of getting links?
I think yes, but the problem here, and we've been, into a few chats with clients about this, that whenever you go very laser targeted, right, in terms of your niche, then you're facing the following problem, that all around you, the ones that really can link back to you are your competitors.
Right, okay, good point.
Yeah, so basically it's kind of, that is very stupid, right? Especially when it comes to, bigger topics like finance related ones, right? Whenever we talk about some tools that help you automate some business, like invoicing or something like that, eventually, more or less, even though they might do different, aspects and different flows and automate different parts of your finance management, expense management, eventually they want to rank for the same set of keywords.
Right.
And basically, they don't really want to link back to you just because they are going to create cannibalization in SERPs, right? They are going to help other brands to rank better, and as a result, they're going to create competition additional.
Okay, well, wonderful. That brings me to my next question, which is commercial versus informational content. You kind of think, I need to get links to my commercial content. Nobody wants to link to it, and as you said, especially not your competitors. How do you master that?
Oh, that is very tricky. Some pages, even though they are commercials, they might have more, I would say, like, possibilities, linking angles. And so you might be more successful at pitching them, for instance, because they still receive some links organically, I would say. So for instance, features pages of services cloud solutions. You can link back to this page whenever you explain something, talking about this tool and so on, right? So this page technically, right, can receive a link. But then let's take commercial pages of an agency. What the point of linking back to this page? What do you want to explain, saying that, okay, those guys are extremely expensive, take a look at them? Or they have a ridiculous process of, I don't know, education link building. So if kind of, I could hardly imagine, right, that someone really wants and have a strong necessity, a desire of linking back to such pages. So that is the main problem.
You talk about three things there. One is necessity to link to, desire to link to, and the other is linking angles. You obviously look at a page and you think, what are the angles I can use to get a link to this page? So you're looking at it from different perspectives, and then you approach the site and saying, here's the perspective that makes sense for your page to link to that one.
Yeah, for instance, we have one client right there from the real estate niche, and they wanna, they wanna get links to their commercial pages, category pages, but they have some listings right there of some offers, right, some houses. But then they created a map there, basically on the left side of the page, right, where you can see how, the basically the different ranges in terms of offers, right, in different areas, and compare them in the same city. So you can see this part of this is extremely expensive. This is, you know, a little bit cheaper. And that creates actually linking angles for sure, right? You can tell an editor, okay, look, even though I understand that is a category page, but the main, you know, the main value of this is that it has, you know, this map where you can basically compare different offers and say like this part of Miami, right, is extremely expensive, but if you go downside, it's going to be 3 times cheaper. And that is something you can easily link to, right? And that is going to be valuable for readers as well.
Right. Okay. Well, that's really interesting. From one, I'm going to give a message to the team, Jean Marie and Maria. Is although we have a map from Anton, is that we've created topic pages which we're building up as hub pages. Those are imminently linkable because it's a great resource. Google have said they're looking for hub pages, and I think to link to a hub page that says here's an immense chunk of information that if you link to this, then the people go there and then they're spread out into the web to research deeper. It's a research page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. It might be delivered in that way as well. So
I'm doing totally selfish, a bit of picking your brains to understand whether those hub pages, topic pages are going to be useful. My next question was closing the current link gap. I mean, that's what everybody obsesses about. It's, I have a link gap with my competitor. I'm envious of my competitor. How do I close that gap?
Oh, that is a very interesting question, because basically whenever you look at a link gap, right, you have to take into consideration only meaningful links, because you can like at a particular domain, right, and it might have over 2,000 referring domains, right, for instance, but out of which, if you're going to filter everything out, like, you know, take into consideration the ones, let's say at least, that have a decent domain rating, like starting from 30, let's say, and some traffic starting from 1,000 at least organic, then you will be amazed how few in reality out of all this web spam you're going to see. Because I've been actually, you know, analyzing quite recently very competitive keywords, right, related to corporate business cuts and so on. And so, you know, honestly, whenever I was looking at just, you know, at numbers, right, the number of referring domains that each page that is ranking at the top 10 results in Google, right, has, it was looking like, oh, that is extremely competitive. But when I just, you know, exported everything, filter out all, you know, crap pages, then I ended up with 2-3, you know, meaningful links. So that is, you know, that is about, you know, and you have to, you know, basically be very careful when it comes to, and also, you know, you can go deeper, right, besides just looking at those sites parameters. You can look also the quality of websites, right? So whether they represent real brands, and that is very easy actually. For this, I use SEMrush. So I just look at the branded traffic. So if a website has branded traffic, right, then it's a brand. If a website doesn't have a branded traffic, then Google doesn't consider this as a brand. And you should too, most probably, right? Because that is, you know, that is how search engine works.
Oh, brilliant. That's a really good piece of research. And it gives another good reason to build your brand SERP to be beautiful, because if you've got branded traffic, you want to look great to those people. I'm obviously totally one-trick pony obsessed by brand SERPs, and I do apologize. You say link building can't solve your business problems. Do people truly think that links are going to solve their business problem?
Yes. Well, that is very
With
funny.
A sigh.
I mean, they think that, you know, basically, I don't know, they have lame content, right? Honestly, you know, to be very, I mean, like, I value each and every effort, right? I just don't really want to say that, you know, I don't really appreciate people's work or something like that. But sometimes the quality of content is extremely questionable, right? And they don't really want to put in effort in terms of analyzing SERPs, right? Looking at what is currently, you know, ranking well and trying to understand what they can do with their content in order to make it competitive enough, right? Because if you, technically, right? Technically, you can close any gap with the help of links, just because Google still, you know, basically values links and still counts them, right? If you build meaningful ones. But then we might talk about hundreds of links, and that is a huge investment. You have to have a huge budget. And is it really worth it, right? That is my question. So, and the same about service pages. Okay, by some reason, you don't really get enough leads, right? You are not really, you know, building a holistic brand. You are not really, you know, I don't know, investing in your social media channels, something like that, building a relationship with other industry brands and so on. So you decided to put, you know, to put all your bets on Google SERPs, right? And saying like, you know, no matter what, I want to rank, I don't know, well, a lot of actually agencies also come and ask to make their service pages ranking well in Google SERPs. And I always explain the following, that, okay, it's technically it's doable, but that is a huge budget, a lot of competition. You know, you have to outrank some websites that are historically ranking extremely well, and they have more authority and so on. But beside that, it's very risky because, okay, tomorrow Google announces that they want to remove all commercial pages from their service because they're bringing zero value to users, which is true. Okay. Then what's next? What's happening with your pages? What's happening with your investment, right? And time to time, it's always happening. If you look at very competitive search, you will notice that some websites, right, that used to rank extremely well by their commercial pages, they are getting, you know, ups and downs. And it's always happening, right? Because Google always, you know, evaluates SERPs. So that is the problem. I think it's just, you know, sometimes it's not really worth it, I would say, because the results, honestly, quite unpredictable, while the investment and effort that everyone has to put in it, including us, because I hate doing, you know, the work that is not going to bring some traction, right? Yeah. So that is not going to move the needle. What the point of this work? No point. So I also, you know, kind of very concerned, right, about this. And that is the reason why I always say, okay, let's think over there one more time, right? Maybe, okay, if you don't believe me that there is a lot of, you know, there is way more possibilities, right, to make your pages, content pages, ranking better, right, generating this traffic and converting this traffic. Let's take a mix of pages, right, content and commercial, and then, you know, start measuring the results. And then you are going to see, right, how, you know, links are going to affect your content pages. Because with commercial pages, it's basically, you can even build 100 links and don't see anything. Right. Because of the competition.
Right. Which is a very clear message. Be smart, build the content that people want to link to, build relationships, and everything's fine. Don't put all your eggs in the link basket, as we would say. Which brings us to saying thank you very much, Alex. That was absolutely brilliant. And we're going to introduce next week with Passing the Baton. And if you want to save your business, how to make 5 to 10% extra sales on autopilot, Irina is going to be talking all about how to make more sales to your existing clients rather than focusing so much on acquiring new leads. Could you pass the baton, please, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. I encourage you to join Irina's session and to learn more about how you can motivate your existing customers to basically to generate more money back to your business.
Brilliant. Wonderful. That's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, Anton, behind the scenes. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, everyone, for watching. See you next week with Irina. A quick goodbye to end the show. Thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you very much, Jason. It was such a pleasure being here today.
It was great. Thank you. Kalicube. It's all about your brand SERP.